girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelts.
The loudest weekend of the year is back, louder than live in Louisville, Kentucky, with Slayer, Slipknot, Motley Crue, Korn, Judas Priest, Disturbed, Five Finger Death Punch, Breaking Benjamin, Evanescence, Falling in Reverse, The Offspring, and so many more. September 26th through 29th in Louisville, Kentucky. Passes on sale now at louderthanlivefestival.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you're watching us on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, or Odyssey, please hit that follow and subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Google, all those podcast platforms, please hit that follow and subscribe button so we can continue bringing you conversations like the one I'm bringing you today. I'm catching up with Mr. Daniel Graves of the band Aesthetic Perfection. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? You know, just taking a few minutes to catch my breath before our show here in Dallas tonight.
Nice. Yeah, so on the road in a hotel, I'm assuming it's like, wow, they got some cool artwork back there, though, you know. But
yeah, I wish I had this kind of taste myself, but no. This is the hotel's artwork, but it is very lovely.
It is. But you do have a unique taste in art, as I've been going down the rabbit hole of checking out your music videos and stuff, which I definitely want to get into. But when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to ask them this question. Originally, what did you want to be when you grew up, when you were a kid?
Ooh, I think the first sort of dream that I ever had as my adult job was going to be marine biologist. And then I wanted to be an actor, and then I discovered music probably around 11 years old. So, ever since 10 or 11, I have been just, hyper focused on being a musician.
Nice. Yeah, I've had a couple that want to be marine biologists before too. So it must be something with marine biology and music. I don't know, but when you got into music, who were some of your early influences that kind of captured your eye or ear?
Yeah. So when I was growing up, it was the late 80s, early 90s. That was, during the time that we lovingly refer to now as the Satanic Panic. And I grew up in a very, very evangelical Christian household where basically all secular music was banned. And basically, I had to sneak watching MTV when my family was out of the room. So I just hide in the TV room and watch, 10, 15, 30 seconds of MTV until I would hear footsteps coming down the hall, and I'd switch it quickly to, either Disney Channel or whatever else was approved in my household. And the first music videos that I really have embedded in my brain were Red Hot Chili Peppers, Give It Away, and Metallica's One. So those were the ones that just imprinted on me. And then as I got older, I basically rebelled against what was allowed in the household. And then that's when I started saying, no, I'm going to listen to whatever I want to. And that rebellion was listening to Green Day and Offspring, which, now it's it seems very, very tame, but my family saw that as hardcore punk rock music. and yeah.
Wow.
That was the household I lived in. And then a coworker of my mom's said, "Oh, your son likes Green Day, huh? You know, it's the time of Dookie. Oh, your kid likes Green Day, huh? He's gonna love this." And gave my mom a cassette tape of Nine Inch Nails' "Broken." Now, I don't know if you're familiar with "Broken" by Nine Inch Nails, but that could not be any more different from Green Day's Dookie. So I put on, you know, the first track of "Broken" is "Wish," which is just exploding out of my speakers, talking about and you're just like, it blew my 11-year-old mind. And that's, I must have been 12 or 13. So it blew my mind. And I think within 6 months I dyed my hair black and had just gone like fully down the sort of like industrial goth rabbit hole.
I mean, I'm surprised the CD even made it to you, but
I think my mom just didn't know. She just like, you know, she was kind of like, whatever, you know, and there's just a big N on the cover. So I don't know what that means.
The CD I had, you know, was the big N, but like flames and stuff in the background, like, you know, your damnation in hell. But, you know,
I think that's a very, very good point. I don't know how that made it past like my mom's filter, but I think maybe she was just like focused on other stuff and was like, oh yeah, you know, my coworker wants to give my son some music. Maybe can't be that bad.
Well, maybe she thought it was gospel, but you know,
very possible.
The gospel of Trent.
Yeah.
But and then you know, speaking of that, it's like, you know, I read in your bio too, you know, like kind of raised around childhood of exorcism and conspiracies. You want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, you know, like I said, this was during the Satanic Panic. It was very much like, you know, at least all the people in my circle were just convinced that we had devil worshippers like in our midst. You know, the devil's literally hiding under every bed. You know, there were the toys that we played with were possessed. The television shows that we watched were possessed. So, you know, if I got sick, I didn't get sick because I caught a flu or a bacteria or something. I got sick because I was infected with demons. And so my grandmother, who was sort of like the matriarch of the family, she had what she called the prayer team, and the prayer team would sort of she'd take me over to somebody's house, and you know, they would like lay hands on me, speak in tongues, and perform an exorcism until like I would cough or yawn, and the demons would be expelled from me. And so that was a very regular occurrence. And so if I had, you know, accidentally watched a few minutes of Care Bears, nope, that was evil. I must be possessed. That's got to go.
Wow. You know, I've been fighting this thing for like the past week, this upper respiratory thing. I think I need Grandma on her team, you know, to help clear this shit out.
You know, unfortunately, Grandma passed. Otherwise, I think she would have been happy to help you out there.
Well, shout out to Grandma, and I'm sorry for your loss. But and then, you know, talking about like as you know got into, you know, you dyed your hair black, you know, Nine Inch Nails a big influence. How, I mean, and to be in that household and rebel against like the music that was being kind of like forced upon you or whatever, how was getting to play and start like creating your own music? What was it like in that environment?
As I said, my grandmother passed, and she was like the matriarch of the family. So it's like she basically called all the shots, and whatever she said was law. She passed when I was about 10 or 11, and so that's what actually I think made it possible, or made it much easier for me to rebel, because without her sort of ruling with an iron fist, everybody else around was just kind of like, okay, well, you know, they put up a very lackluster fight against whatever it was. So I remember I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna dye my hair black, and she's like, no, you're not. And then I go to the store, I buy the black hair dye, and I do it. It's like, what are you gonna do? And she's like, oh, what am I gonna do? And then it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the Marilyn Manson concert. No, you're not gonna go to the Marilyn Manson concert. I'm like, yeah, I bought a ticket, I'm gonna go. And it's like, well, you're grounded. And it's like, no, I'm not. You know, just like I think I pushed back really, really hard. And, you know, my mom, God bless her, she she also sort of kind of, I think the spell was broken with her as well, and she's actually become in the intervening years like one of my biggest fans. So my mom is awesome and a big supporter of everything that I'm doing now. So I think, you know, it's hard to be in that environment, and finding your way out of it is a different journey for everybody.
Yeah, I've heard so many different stories, you know, but nothing like, you know, like yours yet. And that's pretty amazing that, you know, I look at like the world, and, you know, like when certain leadership falls in like Iran, and then how it opens up, you know, that iron fist is gone, and it opens up to people, you know, exploring other things in their culture changing. Yeah. I mean, you're in a mini, like, you know, almost like cultish, I guess to say, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm raised Catholic. You know, I was raised Catholic. I mean, I'm still, you know, consider myself a Christian and stuff, but, you know, it's like I've never liked extremism on either side of anything, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I want to make sure that, like, when I'm sharing this story, like, I'm not criticizing religion in general. I think that people have every right to believe whatever it is they want to believe, and you know, I think for so many people, obviously, like, it is a force for good in their lives. But, you know, for me, within the world that I was raised in, it was much more like a cult, which, you know, I think you need to differentiate between, like, what is religion and what is a cult. And where I was raised was, I mean, just barely probably under the line of what could be considered like legally a cult.
Yeah. And I'm more like, you know, for like spirituality and like personal journeys. I'm 15 years sober. I'm very involved in recovery and AA now. So it's like, even my, you know, how I was raised in like a religion, you know, I've kind of made it my relationships personal now, you know, and it's not anybody else's, you know, it's more the spiritual aspect for myself. So, but I've seen the extremes, and yeah, like you said, it does more harm than good. And I've been like, you know, like you, man, it's like, you know, you got that rebellious spirit, the rebellious nature. It's like, the more you tell me I have to do this, well, guess what? I'm doing the opposite, you know?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Definitely.
And congratulations, by the way, 15 years is no easy task.
Oh, thank you, man. And then, you know, so as your journey continues and you start getting involved in playing music, when did Aesthetic Perfection come together for you?
So, you know, I'd floated around in different bands, tried, you know, working with other people, but, you know, like, I found that I lived in a little nowhere town outside of LA called Redlands, and you know, just nobody in my area was either dedicated enough to making music full time, or you know, they didn't share like my taste. I really did my best to put a legit band together, but after a couple of years, I just decided I had to go on my own, and this was when, like, recording technology, all of that stuff just became much more affordable for regular consumers, right? It's like, if you wanted to record a demo, you didn't even need to go to a studio. This is, you know, the rise of home recording and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I just took another page out of the book of Trent Reznor and decided to, you know, be my own band. And so at around 17, I came up with the concept of Aesthetic Perfection, you know, living so close to Los Angeles, and, you know, I'd go into LA to see shows and stuff like that, and just like the vibe of the city, as much as I love it, you know, this obsession with perfection, this need to escape aging and all of that kind of stuff, really sort of, like, even in my, like, 17-year-old mind, I was like, this is absolutely bizarre. And so, you know, I came up with this idea of Aesthetic Perfection, you know, something that does not actually exist. I thought that was an interesting concept for a band name. Of course, people always, like, accuse me of calling the band Aesthetic Perfection because I believe that I am aesthetically perfect, which is, of course, absolute nonsense. But, you know, yeah, like, I started this when I was around 17, so I'm 41 now. This band has existed longer than in my life than it hasn't existed, which is just an absolutely bizarre thing to think about. But that's how time works.
Yeah. It's funny too. It's like I too was like inspired by Trent Reznor, and I had for a momentary time back in the day. I went to the record store, I signed the loan, and got myself a Korg X3, and I was gonna be like the next Nine Inch Nails and stuff. But then of course I said I'm 15 years sober. Well, before that I was a train wreck, and I wasn't dedicated. So it's like I was stuck sitting on that keyboard. Thankfully, Mushroomhead bought it out from under me and relieved me of that debt. But yeah, I can relate to that story. And then wow. So you've been doing it for quite a while, and now your latest album, Bad Vibes, is coming out next month. October 11th. What's the inspiration for the name of the album, and is there like a theme for it? Or the EP?
Yeah, so really I decided, like, with this one I was just gonna kind of take it back to where it all began, right? The things that really inspired me to create, to be a musician. So that's why I'm really wearing my influences on my sleeve here. A lot of Rob Zombie, a lot of Marilyn Manson, a lot of Nine Inch Nails, but I also wanted to take a forward-thinking approach, because I'm also a massive fan of what dark electronic and metal music is doing right now on the cutting edge. Like, I love bands like Northlane, Silent Planet, like the way that they're just like integrating electronics and the modern metal, like gent tones, all that stuff. Like, I love that. So really, like, the Bad Vibes EP is me trying to mix the beginning with sort of the current moment. And thematically it's dealing a lot with my experience growing up the way that I did, in this evangelical Christian world, and sort of, I would say, meditating on how that brought me to where I am now. Like, who am I now thanks to these things that I experienced. And that the title really is kind of a joke or comedic interpretation of, like, the good vibes only happy face thing. So I don't know if you've seen the artwork, but the artwork takes the happy face but like melts it and makes it kind of like distorted and horrific. And we intentionally used the Michael Jackson Bad font and kind of stylistically wanted to bring like little memories of Michael Jackson and Nirvana and all that kind of stuff, the things that really made an impression on me growing up with the artwork. So really it is just sort of, here are all my influences, take it or leave it.
Yeah, and what was cool too is, like, speaking of your influences, I mean, you got to work with someone who's worked with a lot of your influences on this with Sean. How did that come together for you?
Man, I have to pinch myself every time I think about that, because I'm on tour right now with Til Lindemann. That's the solo project of Til Lindemann, the singer of Rammstein, and Danny Lohner, who was a member of Nine Inch Nails during that seminal era, plays with him. And so with my sort of relationship that I've built with Danny over the last couple of years, because I've been on tour with Til Lindemann a couple of times in Europe. And so Danny and I get on really well, which is also like crazy, because you're just like, I'm hanging out with Danny Lohner. This is nuts. And I finished this EP, and it's the first time that I've ever used live drums. And it's got like live drums and program drums. And I'm like, I can't mix this. I have no idea how to like blend these two worlds together. It's just so different for me. And I thought, like, who would know how to do that? And I'm thinking about, all the people who worked on the record, like Hellbilly Deluxe and, A Portrait of an American Family, Antichrist Superstar, Downward Spiral. And then, like, one of the names that just kept coming up was Sean Beavan. And I'm like, maybe Danny knows Sean. So I texted Danny, like, hey, dude, do you know Sean Beavan? Do you think like maybe you could put us in touch? He's like, yeah, man, absolutely. And then within 30 seconds, he had started a group chat with me and Sean Beavan, and Sean Beavan's talking to me. He's like, yeah, man, working on Downward Spiral back in the day, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting at home like, how's this? What? This is happening right now? And then, yeah, I sent him the EP. He's like, yeah, man, this is great. I love this. Yeah, I'd totally love to work on it. I'm, again, another like, what the hell moment. And then, we're going through the process. He's just, I've worked with a lot of people before, mixing engineers, producers, whatever. And, the experience can often be less than stellar because a lot of times these people bring their own opinion into the mix, which I understand because they're creators as well. But often that creates tension because they're not after your vision, they're after their vision. But Sean was so keyed in to what it is that I wanted to do, that this process was so smooth and frictionless. And even when his wife sent me the invoice and was like, here's our payment information, blah blah blah, by the way, just want to tell you that Sean loves these songs. I'm like, this is friggin' crazy, man. He's even like telling his wife how cool these things that I'm working on are. So yeah, like even talking about it, I get like amped because it's so, it's so cool.
Dude, that is awesome, man. And I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio, so it's like, that whole history of those guys, Nine Inch Nails, and that, it means a lot back here,
Yeah, you're at the epicenter.
Yeah. And then let's talk about Into the Void, the single. I really enjoy like kind of like your Richard Simmons, like from Hell, approach the video, but it started showing me some of your humor. Talk a little bit about that song and how that came together.
Yeah. I mean, Into the Void is nobody seems to have picked up on it yet, but it's really just about television, right? So it's like being raised by the television and sort of all of these things that you're exposed to, this sort of cult of fear that we were all a part of during the late 80s and 90s. I combed through hours of archival news footage, and I watched like old episodes of Geraldo, like all talking about the Satanic Panic and stuff, just to sort of, I don't know, inject that extra level of world building into the song. And the whole EP is basically filled with that type of stuff. And so Into the Void is just kind of like the power that television held over all of us. But I think that if you look at it through the lens of now, it's like, are we in a different place with our cell phones and our devices and everything? It's like, are we in a better place? Probably not, because we spend more time staring at our phones, being drawn into
black mirror.
drawn into this again, this world of fear and divisiveness and all of that kind of stuff. And so I see the parallels between then and now, and so Into the Void is really sort of thinking about the past and how it relates to the present moment.
Yeah, totally. And then, as I was going down the rabbit hole of some of your videos, once again, seeing the art and the humor that you bring into things, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Summer Goth video. Talk about how that came together for you.
Yeah, I think that humor, especially absurdist humor, is a great way to get people's attention, because as serious as the music that I make is, like, I take what I do very, very seriously. I think that the subjects that I tackle with a lot of my work are very serious. I try to think about deep philosophical questions, but in order to sort of bring people into your world, I think that there needs to be a level of like, what the hell is that guy doing? Like they look at it and they try to understand what it is because it's just so ridiculous. And by doing so, they're like brought into this world and they want to learn more. And also, like, I'm just goofy person by by nature. So it just sort of connects with my personality in that way. It's very effortless for me. But Summer Goth, I think while on the surface it's a fun song, like, hey, I'm from the suburbs of Southern California. I love palm trees. I love swimming. I love the heat. But I also like dark stuff. I like goth music. I like wearing makeup, all this kind of stuff. I think that so many people believe that these two worlds need to be separate. And this is just kind of like a tongue-in-cheek way of saying that it's okay to be different, because as much as the underground likes to present itself as this like bastion for the misunderstood, and a place where everybody is open-minded, it really isn't, because as soon as you sort of like deviate from what is expected of you within your own subculture, then people start to question your authenticity, and sometimes you get like bullied or picked on by your own team, and that's just, to me, completely counterproductive and counterintuitive to what like an underground is supposed to represent.
Yeah, totally. And then I was reading about how during COVID, you were keeping yourself busy with the keep creating. But let's talk a little bit about how sex was becoming a big hit during COVID for you.
Yeah, it's funny because I think this project that I undertook during COVID in the year 2021, I basically challenged myself. Well, let's go back like just a little bit real quick. When the lockdowns happened, I thought, okay, great, I have this opportunity to be creative and make more music. I spent the first like 9 months, I didn't achieve anything. I didn't like finish anything. I didn't release anything. And I was so sort of distraught by that. I'm like, I had all this time and I didn't do anything with it. And so I promised myself that I would write and release a new song every month for the entire year of 2021. And that's what I did. And the first song that I completed was SEX. But the problem was I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of stupid. But January was coming up. I needed to release a song. I just said, you know what? Who cares? If I like it, I'm going to release it, put it out. All of a sudden, it's on big playlists. It's blowing up. It's now like one of the biggest songs of my career. And, what that experience taught me, and also the subsequent experiences of writing, releasing a song every month, what that taught me was that actually my own opinion or my own understanding of my own work is actually irrelevant, because in the moment of creating something, you're just lost in the process. And when you come out of it, your perspective is so skewed that you are actually unable to recognize whether or not what you've done is good or bad. And so instead of getting stuck in your own mind and your own sort of self-judgment, just put it out into the world and let the world decide whether or not it's good. Of course, in the intervening years, I've realized, yeah, that is actually a well-crafted song. But if it weren't for that project, I probably would have never released it. I probably would have shelved that song and it never would have come out. And I think that was just such a turning point for me, recognizing like, I need to get out of my own head, write music, put it out, let the world decide if it's good.
Well, they've been saying for years, man, sex sells. And so, there you go.
It does indeed. It does indeed. And I'm so grateful that people have connected with that song so much. And I'm so grateful that I was forced to release it, because otherwise, God knows what would have happened.
Yeah. And then I was reading too that you've been doing some work for, or have done work for Netflix. How did that come together for you?
Well, it actually wasn't, me working with Netflix. Essentially, Netflix Italy reached out to me and they wanted to use one of my remixes, or like a remix that was done of one of my songs called LAX. They wanted to use that in their teen drama series called Baby, and it's apparently quite a hit in Italy. And every day I open up my social media and people are commenting on that song, being like, I'm here because I watched Baby. I'm here because I watched Baby. And I'm like, well, this is this is awesome. I guess I should watch Baby at some point, but I haven't really had much time for series lately. But it's apparently very, very good. It's in Italian, so you got to watch it with subtitles. But yeah, you know, that's just one of those cool moments where, like, you know, someone is aware, you know, some producer somewhere is aware of your music, and they like it, and they want to use it. And that's also why it's very, very important for musicians to own the masters to their own music and all of their publishing, because of course I got to keep 100% of the money from that. And Netflix deals can be very lucrative. So musicians, keep your publishing, keep your masters.
Nice. And then you know, how has Europe been for this project?
You know, ironically, we are much bigger in Europe than we are in the United States. I've been living in Austria for 5 years now. My wife is Austrian, and basically, like, for the last 18 years, I just follow her career. So we spent some years in Europe while she was finishing her degree, and then she got a job at university in Los Angeles, and we lived there for a number of years, and she got a job over in Europe again. So basically, I'm a musician, I can work wherever, so we just like flip-flop, go wherever her job takes her, which is, you know, great, because we get to just experience a lot of new and different things. But how that really like plays out for the band it's hard to say. I do find it ironic that that since moving back, we've somehow become more popular in Europe, but I don't know, maybe that's just like a matter of taste, or just the fact that, like, by nature of living there, like, I'm more cued in to the people on a subconscious level. But who knows? To be fair though, like, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to work as a musician, and I'm glad that anybody anywhere cares about what it is that I do, because, you know, so many people would kill to be in this position, and I think that it's important that I remember that and always remain humble and grateful.
Yeah, and you mentioned now you're currently on the road with Til Lindemann of Rammstein. How did that come together for you?
So I've been touring with him now since 2020 in Europe, and I don't know. I just have a great relationship with the management, with the crew. You know, Til and I get along really, really well. It's, you know, I just think that on both like a working level and also what Aesthetic Perfection like brings to the shows, it just makes sense. And I feel like we're a great hype band for them. Like, we come off stage and the crew was like, man, we've never had somebody amp up the crowd like this before. This is so cool. So I just feel like in general, it's a good fit. And, you know, I also speak German. So like dealing with the crew is just easy and awesome because we just get each other.
Awesome. And yeah, I'm looking forward to catching his act at Louder Than Life here next week or whatever. I plan on making a trip down there.
Nice.
And of course, been a long fan of Rammstein. But I know you got to get ready and jet here shortly. So you got time for a couple more questions that I normally ask my guests?
Yeah, let's do rapid fire because I had bus call 4 minutes ago. So we got to make it quick.
Okay. What class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
I would say some level of kind of finance, right? Like understanding really how a checking account works, how credit cards work, how a mortgage works, how a car lease works. Like some kind of like day-to-day finance would be like critical, I think.
That's the number one answer I always get for that question.
Yeah.
And then 3 people who've inspired you and you get credit for making you the person you are today.
Freddie Mercury, Trent Reznor, and trying to think. I mean, they're like all musicians. So I guess I would say I'm trying to find like a producer who I love. Quincy Jones.
I thought Grandma was going to make that list, but
Grant. Yeah, I was thinking in a positive way, but yeah, Grandma's up there too.
And then, are there any organizations that you support or causes and encourage others to check out?
Whenever I make donations, it's usually to Red Cross. I think that especially like no matter where you land, like politically, like Red Cross is a very neutral organization that is just about working on the ground, helping civilians, and I think that is key. Like organizations like that are really, really important.
Awesome. Well, Daniel, man, I really appreciate your time, man. Thanks for going a little bit over with me. For any of the audience members that might be new to hearing about you guys and want to check you out and support you, where would you send them?
Aesthetic Perfection is basically ubiquitous across the internet. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the good places. It's either This is Aesthetic Perfection or I am Daniel Graves. Come say hi on social media, or if you see me after any of the shows with Til Lindemann, I'm always hanging out at the merch booth afterwards. Come say hi, come take a photo. I'm easy to find.
Awesome. And then real quick, one last favor before I let you go. You mind cutting a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself. You're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Yeah, no problem. You ready?
Yeah.
Hey everybody, this is Daniel Graves from Aesthetic Perfection, and you are watching today's Boondoggle podcast.
Awesome. Daniel, thank you so much, man. Thanks for the time, and I'm enjoying the work and hoping to catch you live if you come through the Cleveland area anytime soon.
Yeah, would love to return. So, you take care. Thanks for taking the time, and let me know once all this is live, and I'll post it across my socials, okay?
All right, sounds good, man. Take care.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.